Hi, I'm Michi and welcome to Daily Reflections. Let's talk about other people in a good way. Today's topic, or what I want to talk about today, is altruism. And altruism is or being altruistic means that I'm acting in the best interest of the other person rather than acting in my own self interest. And it applies, for me, it applies to acting, thinking, and giving. And that's something I realized quite recently, that also when it comes to giving, although giving is in general a good thing, I would say it can be either in my kind of own interest, self-interest, or in the interest of the other person. So one example for that, I encountered, as I said, quite recently. A couple of days ago, my brother and his girlfriend came over, spent half of the afternoon with us, and I have books. I have lots of books. I love books. I like to keep them. I don't. I like to borrow them, but also want to get them back. I know it's kind of a weird habit, but I like them. I like looking at them. I like getting reminded of the things I have read in the past, or getting inspired about what I want to read next. So I have one series of books, which is a couple of advertisement books, and it's a collection of advertisements over a variety of topics for each decade. And it starts from the 50s, goes 60s, 70s, up to the 90s, and it's a nice collection. I really like it, but to be honest, I never really look into it. So my brother and his sister, his girlfriend, sorry, they came over, and we were casually talking. He was like looking through our sort of library, and they encountered at one book, and kind of liked it, pull it out, had a look into it. It was fun, because he didn't know that such a concept of books exists. Nevertheless, they liked it, and they quite recently rearranged their living room, and they were looking for a coffee table book. And at that moment, they realized that would be the perfect coffee table book they'd like to have there in their living room. And I was next to them. I realized it, kind of ignored it at the time, but afterwards it got me thinking. And of course, he can purchase that book on his own. It's not super expensive, but I thought about giving it to him. It have been really nice to just on the spot ask him, like, which of those you want to have, because I never look into that, although like did in the past, but nowadays I didn't, because for the reason that I don't want to give books away. I want to have them back. And so afterwards I thought about whether I get one of those books for him as well, for them, and give it to them as a present. And at that point, I also started reflecting on it, because I've been talking about that quite a lot. And I started to realize that while he still wants to have that book, and purchasing it and giving it to him would be perfectly fine. But, and here's the big but, I would do that in a way that it's easy for me. And that's something I've observed plenty of times. When we give, and sometimes it fits, but when we give, we give in ways that are comfortable for us, that are easy for us, that are easy for me, that don't hurt. But it's very hard to give something another person that is costly to me, but purely in the interest of that other person. Happens very seldomly, also to me. So, which is why I decided, for that particular reason, that I'll give him one of the books. So I shot him a message asking which of those he wants to have. Unfortunately, he wanted to have the 80s ones, so now I'm stuck with 50s, 60s, 70s, and 90s, which is painful because there's one missing. But it's alright, because that's an experiment. It's sort of a practice for me to give something that the other person wants to have, or in the interest of the other person, instead of what comes easy to me. And of course I can still purchase it again, which I won't, because again it's a practice. Yeah, and that was for me like a very beautiful example, a very easy one, where I realized that where I'm not giving in terms of the other person, like in their interest, but what comes easy to me. And I want to improve that. I want to be better at that. And yeah, the other way around, a perfect example is grandparents. When you're like, they're in certain environments, societies, grandparents give their grandchildren money. And that's totally nice if you're 10 years old. But if once you're 30 and you're working, isn't that's not really what you need anymore. But it comes easy to them. Also, they're used to it, but it comes easy. But you might want to spend time with them, get time from them, but that's sometimes a bit harder to do. So I'm really looking for example situations where that's the case. And for that book scenario, it was the case for me. And you know what? It felt great. And it still feels great too, that I've given something that hurt myself. Not really, but um, it was perceived emotional hurt and a pain. And it was purely in the interest of my brother and his girlfriend. I'm looking forward to hearing about your experiences in that area. Until then, was my pleasure. Take care.